Hi friends, welcome to my channel Bamboo's Biogenius. Today we will discuss about capacitation, which is important for UG and PG students. So let us see what is capacitation. So first we will discuss about the points that we have to cover in this video. First topic is definition, then occurrence, then cholesterol efflux, changes in membrane fluidity, change in the membrane potential, then protein kinase A activation, role of calcium, then intracellular alkalization of sperm, and the role of progesterone hormone in a capacitation that we have to study. Now, first of all, we will discuss about the definition. As I have told you that the sperms that are directly poured on the ovum will not be able to fertilize the ovum because a certain kind of biochemical changes that are required in the sperm so that the sperm can be able to fertilize the ovum. So these biochemical changes are mostly superficial, but some kind of a changes that occurs inside also, and because of that the sperm gets the ability to move fast and reach up to the ovum. So this is a capacitation. Now, the next point is the occurrence, where this capacitation occurs. The capacitation occurs inside a female genital tract in case of humans, and mostly in case of mammals also. This portion is a acidic portion of the female genital tract that is called as a vagina. Then this is a little bit alkaline uterine region. After that, a fallopian tube is there. So the portion which is near to the uterus, this portion of a fallopian tube is called as a isthmus. It is also called as a, or it stores the sperms for some time. That's why it is called as a temporary sperm reservoir. Then this portion is called as ampulla, where the fertilization takes place. So this is a whole female genital tract, and at when this during this journey of a sperm from here, from vagina to the ampullary region or ampullar region, the capacitation takes place. So that means the sperm has to spend some time in this female genital tract so that it get capacitated. Now the next point is a maturation in epididymis. Sperms are matured in a epididymis before they are transferred to the vagina. Now what happens in a maturation in epididymis? See here, we know that the temperature in a epididymis is a 35 degrees centigrade, and in this temperature certain kinds of molecules that are inserted or they are placed on the surface of the sperm. This is called as a maturation, and here these molecules are called as a decapacitation factors. Now these decapacitation factors, they acquire the positions on the sperm head so that certain molecules, certain receptors are covered by these decapacitation factors, and because of that, the even if these sperms are transferred from the epididymis and placed on the ovum, these sperms are not able to fertilize the ovum. So these are the such a kind of sperm, or we can say the sperms which are laden with decapacitation factors. They are taken to the seminal fluid, and then these such a kind of sperms, then they are transferred to the vagina. See, the next point is the cholesterol efflux. Efflux means removal of cholesterol. So here, in case of a sperm plasma membrane, the cholesterol is present in the sperm plasma membrane in a ample amount. That is, if we see the composition of a sperm plasma membrane, you will find that 25% of the plasma membrane is made up of a cholesterol and 70% is of phospholipids. Only 5% is of carbohydrates. Now, this cholesterol gives a kind of a stability to the sperm plasma membrane, and because of that, the sperm plasma membrane is more or less stable. But and also you will find that this ratio of cholesterol to phospholipid in case of a human sperm, it is about zero point 0.8. Now it has been also found that the amount of a cholesterol and the time required for capacitation is directly proportional. That means if a cholesterol is more in the plasma membrane of the sperm, it will take more time for a capacitation. Now, when this the you can see here sperm with a cholesterol on its membrane, this is present in a seminal fluid, and it also contains a kind of a decapacitation factor, as I have told you in the previous slide, that this decapacitation factor prevents the fertilizing ability of the sperm. So more or less it becomes the sperm becomes more stable because of these cholesterol and decapacitation factors. But when this sperm is placed or deposited in a vagina, a kind of a temperature shock is given or it is received by the sperm, because in epididymis you will find that the temperature is 35 degrees centigrade. That is the temperature of the testes. But in a vagina, female vagina, you will find that the temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, and because of that the cholesterol starts to move towards the head region, and from where the cholesterol is taken out. Now, which molecule is responsible for taking out this cholesterol? So here, in case of the humans or most of the mammals, the uterine lining that secretes albumin, and that albumin is responsible for taking up cholesterol, and or we can say extracting cholesterol from the sperm plasma membrane. Along with that, decapacitation factors that are loosely bound to the sperm plasma membrane, non-covalently bound to a sperm plasma membrane, that also removed. So this is how that the most of the protein, because of the removal of cholesterol, certain kinds of GPI anchored protein that are also taken to the head region, and now this head region now contains various kinds of receptors, various kinds of proteins that will interact with the oocyte. Now the next point is a change in a membrane fluidity. See here, as these sperms are placed in a vagina, the temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, and because of that there is an increase in a membrane fluidity, because cholesterol molecules that are removed from the plasma membrane. Even the decapacitation factors or seminal glycoprotein that are also removed. If we enlarge this particular portion, you can see here, because of the change in the membrane fluidity or increase in the membrane fluidity, uh, carbonate ions, bicarbonate ions that enters inside the sperm. So because of this, see, there is a change in the membrane potential that takes place. Now, because of the change in the membrane potential, you will find that calcium ion channel that get open, and because of that, the calcium 2 positive ions which are present in the seminal fluid, that will enter inside the sperm. Now, because of this, two things will happen. First one is the hyperpolarization of the sperm plasma membrane that takes place. this hyperpolarization of a sperm plasma membrane further makes it more fragile, and again, K positive ions that are present inside the sperm that will leave out of the sperm. So here, another effect of the calcium entry into inside the sperm that will activate the adenylate cyclase. Now we know that adenylate cyclase is a membrane bound enzyme, and when it gets activated, it starts, or we can say it derives the cyclic AMP from the ATP. So the ATP molecules are broken down and the cyclic AMP is generated, and this cyclic AMP is responsible for the protein phosphorylation. So here another effect of cyclic AMP is it increases the pH also, and because of the increase in pH, intracellular alkalization of a sperm that takes place. Now this intracellular alkalization of a sperm that helps in acrosome reaction. The main point here, the cyclic AMP uh, makes a phosphorylation of a protein. This protein phosphorylation again in turn activates the phosphokinase A. This activity of the, or increased activity of a phosphokinase A brings about hypermotility in the sperm flagella, and this sperm flagella starts to beat more vigorously than before. So, and because of this vigorous movement of the flagella, the speed of the sperm increases, and it can move through the mucus, it can move through the uterine tube or a fallopian tube, and you can see here this is known as a hyperactivation of a motility of a sperm flagella. So this is how that the change in the membrane potential brings about all those changes in the sperm, and now the sperm is having a head region, and this head region, or we can say whatever the glycoproteins and cholesterol that is removed, are the masking molecules which are present on the head region of the sperm that are now removed, and now this head region is exposed to the external environment of the uterus near ampulla. Now here, see that the role of progesterone hormone is also there, because of the washing, or we can say the removal of all these glycoproteins and cholesterol. The protein molecules or protein receptors that are now exposed to the external environment, and these protein receptors, these interact with the progesterone. Now this progesterone is secreted by, a small amount of a progesterone is secreted by cumulus cells, and these cumulus cells then this progesterone that is secreted by the um, cumulus cells, it will interact with these receptors. These are known as the receptors for a progesterone, and these receptors get stimulated. This stimulation of these receptors also increases the motility of the sperm, so that the sperm can move faster in a through this uterine, or we can say fallopian tube. So this is the role of a progesterone hormone. Now you can see here, when the sperms are moved from the uterus to the fallopian tube. So here in a fallopian tube, just after the uterus, a region is called as the isthmus region, and the epithelial cells of this isthmus region, they interact with the sperms. Now here it has been said that this particular opening of this fallopian tube from the uterus is guarded by the mucus, and it is a kind of a very narrow opening, and through this tube or narrow tube the sperms enter inside, and they interact loosely with the epithelial cells, and they get attached to these epithelial cells of the isthmus region. Now, at this particular point, those cells which get hyperactivated, or we can say they show the hypermotility, only those kind of sperms, they will leave this particular isthmus region, they will break this attachment and move towards the ampulla region of the fallopian tube, and where these sperms, then only capacitated sperms. Now see here that the capacitated sperms have a clear head, and these are having exposed receptors. These receptors are responsible for interacting with the zona pellucida proteins, or ZP3 proteins, or GP3 proteins. So this is all about the capacitation. So this is how that the whole genital tract, female genital tract, is responsible for the capacitation of the sperm. So this is all about the capacitation. Thank you for a patient hearing. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bamu's Biogenius, for latest uploads, or like my videos. And if you have any queries, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.